Welcome, everybody. My name is Gino Giovanni. This past Saturday, Biden-Harris had a premature victory from the 2020 election. It's not official, though. It's not official, but it was called by the news media. So let's just get that straight. Left-leaning activists, left-leaning political people, left-leaning Americans, socialist communists, Biden supporters are vile and get their information incorrect from news media and, frankly, our U.S. government. Here's why. So Saturday, thousands of fans against President Trump, which is key. That's really what it's all about, hit the streets of Washington, D.C., New York City, and many other cities to celebrate the premature victory of the Biden-Harris ticket. And again, premature because officially the race has not been called. President Trump has not conceded, and the news media called the race, which is not official. Okay, it's just like when Fox News called Arizona and no one else did. So they kind of put themselves in a corner and had their rivals kind of waiting for them to call the election for Biden. Very political stance and behind the scenes, actually. But we're not necessarily talking about that. We're just talking about the way the supporters are for Biden and Harris. See, the left is supposed to come across as very peaceful. You know, instead of doing the riots this past week, or this past, there was this past week, and even this past summer, they were known as the peaceful protesters, the Black Lives Matter, Antifa. You know, they weren't burning down cities. They weren't looting. It was all for reparations, and they were doing it peacefully. When, during the counting in Arizona, a fairly large group of President Trump supporters were outside of a voting precinct or somewhere where the votes get counted. And MSNBC and CNN were afraid of these people. The people on the streets reporting the news and the people inside the news desks or where the news studios are really downplaying these people, saying that they weren't social distancing. It's very interesting the way the news gets reported. So as I continue, so there were thousands of people out in the streets celebrating. We also got the millions posting on social media, cartoon pics of the Statue of Liberty flicking President Trump, or the defeat of MAGA as compared to a Nazi flag or a Confederacy flag, which makes no sense whatsoever, because if they're implying, which they are, that Trump supporters are racists, well, the people implying that need to open up their eyes and see what's going on, because there is a cluster of different types of races in the Trump camp. And I'll explain that later. Also, the waving of Old Glory by Biden voters, when all year not one Biden voter waved a flag of the U.S. on the streets, but instead burned them during the riots, and instituting that America's systemic racism. There's a lot of hypocrisy when it comes to the left, Biden voters, and pretty much the Democrat Party, unfortunately. Now, I don't want to say everybody, because there are some fair-minded people out there, like a Joe Rogan, for example, who's liberal. He doesn't sway either way on a party. He just has, his thoughts are more liberal, but he's willing to have free speech and talk and figure out why someone on the right thinks the way that they do. And maybe even try to come into an understanding. And it's kind of ironic because when he does that, then there's people on the left who go after him and categorize Rogan as alt-right. It makes no sense whatsoever. So if you reach across the aisle and you're on the left, you're automatically deemed as a traitor and a racist or a bigot or whatever. There's lots of identity politics when it comes to the left. We also see thousands of Biden supporters can be seen in Washington, D.C. in front of the White House singing YMCA, and that goes to the Trump camp, because at the Trump rallies this past summer and all the way till the fall, YMCA song was aired at the end of every rally. I don't know why, but it was. Also, many people seen drinking alcohol on the streets. There's been one account of people smoking weed. And no news media judging the people not social distancing or wearing masks as if the coronavirus from China is over. Biden wins. Hey. The coronavirus is done. It's over. We can go outside. We can be arm in arm, hug, dance, booty shake, drink, smoke weed, and everything's gravy. Finally, two memes going around online making it seem Biden and Harris want to work together with America, and the children's headshots depicted around Biden and Harris headshots, which is ironic considering Joe Biden's history of inappropriate advances and touching of young boys and girls in photo ops over the years. There's plenty of video on YouTube to see that. So, I'm not trying to rant. I'm just trying to report here. Okay. And I like to report the facts. I'm not trying to lean any way, but I just want to point things out. So here's my first point. I finally understand the narcissism taking place by the leftists and those who voted for Biden and who maybe aren't far left, but they still voted for him. They hate President Trump. It's as easy as it sounds. But here's the caveat. If you ask a Biden voter why you hate Trump, their immediate typical response is, well, he's a racist. With their only evidence, and false, by the way, was a line after Charlottesville and the separation of kids at the Mexican border. Both lies and taken out of context. And here's why. Well, one, if you listen to the whole line he said after Charlottesville, he condemned neo-Nazis and white supremacists. He said, look, there were good people on both sides talking about when it comes to the falling of the statues and the protesting and so forth. But what he also said, if you listen after that part, that, hey, I'm not talking about the white supremacists or the neo-Nazis. That's what he said. But the news media doesn't want to show that. The mainstream news. And when I talk about mainstream news media, I'm talking CNN, all the NBC networks, ABC, CBS, Fox might even be in there. And of course, you got to go to all the independent outlets, and one's controlled through big tech. The second point is when it comes to the children on the border, what most people don't know is that the 1997 Flores settlement outlaws separation no longer than 20 days in which the families must be reunited. A lot of times, though, the parents with these kids leave in fear of deportation. And that's according to the INS website. That's also according to the former president of the INS in an interview on NPR last year, 2019. So if you're going to come out and say something about the kids on the separation, well, you better know what you're talking about. And unfortunately, many Americans don't because of where they get their news. And the number one source is Facebook, right? So people just take headlines. Like I got a friend who takes headlines. She doesn't even read the articles and just posts on Facebook and assumes it's true. So that's why she leans left. But she doesn't want to be called left. She doesn't want to be called a Democrat. So it's very ironic. You know, she's for family. She's for competitiveness. She's for capitalism. But she votes Democratic because she thinks Trump is a racist. And if I debate her, she runs away because she can't argue. She doesn't know. She does not know what she's talking about. And that's a lot of these leftists. They don't know what they're talking about. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that the Democrat Party, in collaboration with the mainstream news media, has perverted the narrative of what America is. And Republicans, and look, not all Republicans are great. Okay, I went away from the Republican Party for a while. And the only reason I came back was because of Trump. And now there's like a new kind of Republican Party with 5 million new voters voting for Trump, more diverse, more towards the working man and woman. It's a lot different. I got part two, though. Why do leftists and liberals hate Trump? So the Democrat National Committee and the mainstream news media concocted a narrative that Trump is a racist. The election of 2016, they could not get it over, and they tried to get President Trump out of office for all 4 years. The election of 2016, President Trump won 8% of the black vote, which was up from 2012 and from 2008, when you had Romney running, and then before that, McCain. In 2020, Trump received anywhere from 12% to 25% of the black vote, still not official yet from the sources I've seen, and it's probably because the voting's not done yet, being counted. He also received 38% of the Latin vote nationwide, 51% of Cuban votes in Florida, and 64% of Native Americans in certain parts of Texas. If he's racist, he must be loathing in it. You know as well as I do, NBC, CNN, ABC, and all the other major categories of news, or the major outlets of news, all state that President Trump is a racist with no proof. It was a lie to defeat the president so the Democrats can have their power back. That's it. Everybody, including leftists, should be very grateful for this man. And yeah, I'm going to stick up for him. This is a guy who, look, for years, Americans hated on politicians. They know they're getting lied to. But yet they want someone back in office, or a lot of Americans do, that, can make them feel good. Well, I mean, do you want to be felt good, or do you want results? This man sacrificed his life, his business, his family getting hit up, his money. He didn't. The $400,000 you get from being president of the United States, he donated. Various groups he donated. He didn't take one dime. He didn't have to. He's not a politician. Isn't that what Americans wanted for decades? A non-politician who just tells it how it is? That's what we want. And all of a sudden, oh, it's too much for me. Let's go back to the lying, if you will. And finally, look, the economy roared. Okay? There was so much increase in pay. Unemployment throughout the entire portion of America down drastically. Even with the coronavirus. as unemployment shot up to what, 11%, and then it went all the way down to like 6%. He also kept us out of war, all these faceless wars. I mean, hey, I was a big Bush fan, but yeah, like, did we really need to be in Iraq? Like, I don't know. Like, we probably could have just got out of there in 2 weeks. You know, and it's coming out now that like the reason why we get in these wars is because it helps to give contracts to weapon companies. So we put our lives on the line for weapon companies. You know, you thought oil was bad. What about weapons? Heck, even Tulsi Gabbard, who ran for president, is talking about regime change wars. I mean, do we really need another regime change war? And, you know, look, my only major flaw with President Trump is the huge spending. That's it. You know, we were supposed to get spending down and he didn't. And I don't think he necessarily lied. I don't know about all these politicians. They might lie, but he, you know, as a businessman, I'm sure doesn't want to get spending up. But look, the coronavirus, we had a lot of relief. I mean, trillions and trillions of dollars. Plus infrastructure on roads. Maybe the wall, although I think the wall came from other sources. But hey, Mexico's paying for it through toll. A lot of good things happened in these last 4 years. And yet you, the Biden voter, you, the leftists, put him down because you were told and given marching orders to say that President Trump is a racist, a homophobe, when actually he has a very good relations with gays. It's probably why he played the YMCA song. There's a lot of gays that voted for Trump. I don't know the percentage, but I know a lot of gays that voted for Trump. And they feel that they weren't thrown under the bus for some reason by the Democrat Party. It's kind of like the black vote. Like, you only come out for us every 4 years. You don't stick up for us within that time period. And that's why a lot of voters for Trump love him. Jason Whitlock from Outkick says that, look, there's a difference with the love and the hate. Now, a lot of lefties like to say that Trump hates and the love won. Well, no, it's the other way around. Trump voters love Trump, but they mainly love what he stands for and that they resonate with him. And that's why he's going to be their fan, or they're going to be his fan for many years to come. This isn't over yet. Not by a long shot. When the Democrat Party and the leftists spew out hate, I hate Donald Trump. I hate MAGA. I hate Trump supporters. I hate America. It's disgusting. And then people like Antifa or other leftists throw on the word fascist. Well, how are we all fascists? How? Do you even know what fascism is? I mean, technically, you calling us out and canceling conservative speakers on campus, canceling people who, or at least trying to cancel people who don't fit your narrative, that is the definition of fascism. Or at least a prime example. I'm doing this pod because I want to be heard. I want the truth be out there. There's millions of Americans who are saying exactly what I say, and this is textbook. What I'm saying, I'm not putting any ideology behind it. The proof is out there. You can go and look all this up. Debate me. Challenge me. Change my mind. Stephen Crowder would say. I'm not pushing an ideology here. I'm just showcasing that leftists and Democrats spouting out hate this last weekend against Donald Trump losing or potentially losing and trying to make it, oh, America reborn again. America can now work together. Love. Well, if you take a look at Joe Biden's career, his 47 years in office, what has he done? What the crime bill, put people away. Kamala Harris put many black men, especially in the San Francisco Bay Area, away. And they remember that. They remember that. And that's why a lot of them actually voted against her, from what I understand. You know, you can't even put up a post anymore that says the truth on social media without getting tagged saying that it's potentially like false. But they don't do that with leftists. And that's a totally different topic I'm going to get into another time. I want to thank you for listening to this broadcast. I plan to do more. And I hope you take a listen, and I hope I get better at this. And look, God bless America. God bless you, your family. You know, we're going to need it, because if Joe Biden is the president, this is what he said he's going to do. He's going to raise taxes. He's going to get rid of fossil fuels. He's going to ban fracking. And they're going to put in the Green New Deal, and they're going to try to push for more judges on the Supreme Court. Oh, and Kamala Harris will be your president, actually, as he also gave word on that a couple of times. And he even said, "You think I'm kidding?" But see, leftists don't like to go by facts. They don't. It's all emotion. And that's something else I'll get into probably later. That'd be another good topic. Anyway, I plan to be back. You have a great day. Signing out.